been record all that time.
Yeah. Well, my the way my Zoom works is once you start it, it starts recording.
So
I could just
we
go
gotta
ahead
do
and edit it.
some hella editing because that's like a half hour of bullshit.
Yeah,
But
we'll just what time is it already on there? Let me see. We're at 30 minutes. Yeah, 32 minutes. So
all right, bet.
we already know where to start it at.
Well, good afternoon. This is Ohio Cannabis Report. My name is Project Randall. Got my brother Gerald.
We're your host, baby, for the Ohio Cannabis Report.
Coming live. I actually gotta be right back, y'all. I'm gonna get some jars so we can talk about some new releases real quick because this is Ohio Cannabis Report.
We gotta talk about some products. I'll just go ahead and start while Roger getting his products. Basically give a little background on why we decided to start the Ohio Cannabis Report and how it basically came about. So me and Broderick have been connected for a while in the cannabis space. I used to come in to his dispensary as a patient, and we always, just kicked it. I mean, he always helped me with, picking a product that was best for me, whatever I was feeling that day. So he was always good at, recommending different products. And Broderick has done his, due diligence of moving through the industry and, becoming a solid part of the industry. And so we've decided to stay connected. I'm not really involved in terms of the product side. I'm more of an ancillary advocate in the industry. And so as a patient, I just realized we needed to kind of close the gap, especially as African-American men in the industry. We realized that there was a huge gap of, resources, information, and just us having a presence, having a voice in the industry. And so, after doing a bunch of events and seeing each other all over the place, we've connected as friends, as brothers, and we decided to start the Ohio Cannabis Report and basically report to you all, the viewers, anybody else who, sees this, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and really just report what's going on from our perspective in the Ohio cannabis industry. When you look at Ohio in general, we're an agricultural state. And so when you look at the nation, we have some of the stricter cannabis policies. We only have a medical program. We're pushing, we kind of want adult use. We feel like, full legalization needs to happen. We feel like adult use and being able to do home grows. And I won't speak for Broderick specifically, but I know me personally, I would rather have, full legalization, home grow, and full adult use. But right now we just have to function within the parameters of the current state. But, Ohio has 11 million residents, citizens in the state, close to 12 million. And so when you look at that population and how many people will be able to use cannabis for whatever health issues or just recreational, there's a great opportunity for business folks and just for, people in general. And so our last Ohio Cannabis Report, we went over the numbers in the cannabis industry. And so in just about 3 years in the industry, Ohio has made over $730 million in the industry. And so obviously when you look at that, we have to peel back, like, where's that money going? Where's the taxes going? Why don't we have enough? Why don't we have more dispensaries? Why don't we have more cultivators? Why don't we have more African Americans and males in positions of leadership and power in the industry? And so that's why we started the Ohio Cannabis Report, to really bring awareness in that and be a voice for our community. So Broderick's back with his products. And so we can go ahead and start with you and talk about what products you done got, what releases happened, and let me know what's going on in the industry this week.
Well, so far this week, in this industry especially, it seems that people are big fans of Flower. Flower's queen, that's the way I like to say. And really, I mean, she is in a lot of ways, because without her, we won't be able to produce a lot of the medicines we do. But
You got flour,
today,
baby.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, we need that flour, baby. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. So today I got a couple of newbies. Oh shoot, it ain't working right.
Got that
There you
harvest.
go. I got to figure that out. I got the new harvest. My choice was Ron Widow, and I chose Space Jello.
Nice.
Two of my choices. Terpenes are pretty high. And then they also. So let me figure this out. There we go.
You got your
It was
green
also.
screen?
What was that?
The green screen might be on.
You think that's? Do I got it on? My bad.
Can you take the products out of the jar?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me see. I don't think I got the green screen. See.
Very good. Don't worry about it. I was able to see it, so it'd be good.
Well, no doubt. Whatever. Here, I'll take the products out. Let's see. The Ron Widow. I got this
Indica sativa hybrid.
hybrids. I mean, most things are hybrids because it's a combination of other things these days, honestly. But nice little
Big
dense.
nugs.
Yeah, that's a nice. That's probably the trophy nug of this batch. Or I mean, not batch, but of this jar, for sure. That's the Ron Widow. Got that, real orange citrusy, terp smell. Can't specifically put my name on it. Cannellini. I'm messing up the pronunciation, but that, bro, it's fire as far as the oranges and citrusy. And next up we got the Space Jello. This is it's definitely got a gelato kind of, and it's got that green and purple hue to it for sure. Nice little density bud structure.
Yeah, those look dense for sure.
Terps, it's got that creamy, fruity smell.
Now, harvest, I mean, since we're going to talk about social justice and equity, I think we need to, if we're going to highlight harvest, harvest is
Harvest of Ohio, actually.
Harvest of Ohio.
Yeah.
Is one of the only vertically integrated cannabis businesses, right? That's African American,
Black owned, yeah, and female owned too.
African American owned, female owned, vertically integrated. So that means cultivation. They just got their cultivation. Now you got the first run of their first cultivation, huh?
Yeah, well, yep. Trying to support. Definitely. They got 4 strains. I believe it's an apple fritter, and can't currently recollect the other one, but it's about 4 strains they debuted today, March 24th, and I'm sure there's going to be more.
This is history right here, March 24th, 2022.
In Ohio, there'll be more legit fire strains to come, I'm sure.
And that's something too. I mean, obviously later episodes, we may be able to get the founder CEO of Harvest Ohio on our, podcast and interview her and talk about her, obviously being a female, only African-American female-owned vertically integrated company in Ohio's program. Definitely, we both connected with her before, offline, online, and different platforms, but we haven't had her on the Ohio Cannabis Report yet. So that might be a good idea to reach out to her and, even maybe see if we could work out some type of partnership or something. So we could put that energy out there,
right.
Get that support, because that's what we're all about at the end of the day too, is not only creating awareness, but, being a supporter. Yeah, unity of the culture, helping people get their brands out there, helping, expand the community as a whole, because at the end of the day, we understand cannabis is all about community. And that's what, anybody that has been in the legacy market before, cannabis became a legal industry and you know, we understand that the demonization and everything that's happened around the industry is kind of all propaganda. But you know, people that consume cannabis typically don't like to consume cannabis in isolation, right? Like, but our industry, we kind of have to consume it in isolation because it is a medical program. So that's another reason why adult use legalization is big, because then we can have consumption lounges, we can have different ways of, you know, really connecting with the community, building community in this space. So
There need to be some kind of safe space in a sense, especially with tenants not really technically having too many rights, at least not yet. As a legal patient, there definitely needs to be some kind of safe consumption lounge or you know, area that legal cannabis patients and users can go to connect and feel safe and comfortable using their own plant medicine.
yeah, and
And
like
also,
education too.
and it's also I agree, it's definitely a community type, you know, social, like medicine as well. You know, it can be used alone, but it's definitely preferred, you know, more enjoyable when there's, you know, multiple people, or you're not alone, basically enjoying the sweet old natural good medicine Mother Earth provides to us. It's I think it's also important to, and another reason we started this is, you know, use your voices as a patient, you know, the advocate, activist, whatever, you know, angle, perspective you want to take and approach. It's very important that we actually, you know, start to really speak up about everything, whether you're a bud tender at a dispensary, you're some
Sales
former
rep.
worker at a processor, or you're working at a cultivation facility. All of our roles, all of our stories, all of our perspectives are all important, and they should be heard, especially if you're willing to share it and uh, you know, provide how you overcome things or what you have to do to overcome things. But it definitely, there should also be a gateway and you know, support and opportunity for a lot of those people affected wrongfully, especially a lot of the African American males and in their entire communities, because with them being locked up, it trickles down to the family, the, you know, girl, what wives, girlfriends, you know, the moms, whatever. It all
Children.
it's a unfortunately a vicious cycle that has still have effects on all of us and our families. So it's pretty hypocritical to see a system be created and formed, but then not only be formed and, you know, set up to be profitable, but only for those who really you know, never really supported it in the first place, or may not even use it. So it's like we the people need to come together and use our voices and you know, find ways to use our freedom of speech to help each other and make the right advancements to you know, better this program and just all of our quality of lives as cannabis does. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's about economics, right? Like at the end of the day, we just got out of, I guess we're still in the pandemic. We don't know, you know, what that, you know, variants and stuff are going to look like. There's been research that has come out basically saying that cannabis users have, it's helped being a cannabis consumer to kind of guard against, you know, COVID and strains of COVID. Also, when you look at the economics of the cannabis industry, is creating jobs, you know, and it's going to also create high paying jobs. It's going to create, you know, health equity. You know, there's so many different things that's going to be able to be created through this industry. And so obviously there's still a lot of unknowns, but when we talk about African American males and you look at the prison industrial complex and you look at how many people have been locked up for this plant for nonviolent offenses, right? So you have so many people in our prison system that have been locked up for cannabis alone and nonviolent offenses, and have had the book thrown at them. So here we are as two young African-American, highly educated individuals. We've both attended college. We've both attended different, high schools and things of that nature. So we're intelligent people, and we don't fit this typical stereotype, right? That I think people perceive of being a cannabis consumer or user. Me being a high-level athlete, being an entrepreneur, being a husband, a father, an advocate, somebody in the industry. Typically everybody likes to smear, us as weed heads or pie heads, or, if you don't look a certain way, you don't know. But we, Broderick and I both know that, cannabis consumers come in all shapes, sizes, shades, career types. We know lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, business leaders, politicians, all types of people that, real estate agents, any and everybody that really consumes cannabis for different reasons too. Obviously, us having a medical program, I deal with arthritis, and I think we both like to be open books and let people know that, we look fine, right? We may be able to move through society and look fine and look like we're not dealing with anything, but being African American, we deal with trauma, we deal with PTSD, we deal with just living in a world where we are judged. We're living in Columbus, Ohio, which recently named racism as a public health crisis. And so these are things that people typically don't talk about, and it's hard conversations to have. But you realize, we're the only ones that could really speak from the vantage point of being African American and dealing with racism or dealing with, the healthcare industry. Me being a graduate of a school where I studied healthcare, and playing football, I dealt with opioids and injuries. And I realized cannabis was the best thing for me in terms of helping me deal with my pain. And so
And to
I think
speak,
go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say to speak on how cannabis come, because you mentioned earlier how many people of all forms and careers and pathways can use it. There's also many forms and uh learn becoming more methods of cannabis usage too.
Sure.
So like besides flower, there's definitely edibles, there's topicals, there's and besides edibles, there's multiple forms of edibles.
Right.
You put anything in the form of oil or butter, you can make anything. And then you got, RSO, you have Rick Simpson, which is Rick Simpson oil, you have uh um, there's capsules, there's vape cartridges, there's rosin and the actual other forms of concentrates. So it's becoming to be a lot of different forms of the plant itself. But with the different forms, there's obviously more education, more knowledge that's required, but they all can be applied to different circumstances. Just because I have sickle cell anemia. That's why, like you mentioned, we have conditions people may not be able to see or understand. It's another painful condition. So, I use cannabis for that. And, I prefer all the forms, but there's different circumstances for them. Flower and vape carts are going to be way more faster to be able to use and provide that relief. The vapes are more discreet, but over time it could be, hard. It cause some uh to some, it could cause some irritation to your throat. And then also, flower, I prefer that just because, like I said, you can control your dosage, the effect, like, hey, I just need this little bit, or this little amount to vape, and boom, I'm good. And then there's also edibles, which are solid too. But the thing about edibles, and where it's out of your control, is once you've digested them or eaten them, it's up to your body on how they convert them, and then the stronger effect, that how strong the effect will be that you get based on uh, how much you're taking, obviously, and then your tolerance level. So there's different forms out there, but you gotta, like I said, learn to when to use them and why to use them, and if they even work for you too. So that's the importance of us speaking up, but also everybody or anybody to keep a journal, a personal journal, or notes yourself, because in this newly developing industry, you're kind of going to be your own doctor to help describe to your doctor, like, hey, or checking in with them, like, this is what's happening. But
Right. And everybody's pain tolerance is different. Everybody's, consumption level is different.
yeah,
So it's one of those things that it's not a one size fits all. It's not a one, type of cannabis fits all. Something that may be good for Broderick may not work as well for me. You know what I mean? It's vice versa. Everybody's pain level is different. And then again, everybody's consumption type is different. Some people aren't going to want to vape. Some people aren't going to want to necessarily take an edible, but might want to use a tincture or want to use, a lotion or a patch or drink, their cannabis. And so there's so many different ways. And obviously, it being a new industry, there's new forms coming out where people can test and try out different things. And so that being said, I know you just said you like to try all of them, but what would you say your top way of consumption is, and what is, are you a hybrid, sativa, indica, a leaning dominant indica, leaning, what do you prefer?
well, my go-to flower is queen, always, first and foremost. Just, I mean, to me, it helps provide that quick, like I said, onset, that immediate relief. But if needed, a very strong, powerful topical is also a very strong follow-up, because with sickle cell, have a lot of, musculoskeletal pain or bone pain. So definitely being able to either have some stronger flour that can help you with the body, which is more towards the hybrid indica side of things, because that's going to definitely be more calming, more sedating for whatever area that may be aching or paining, and also, like I said, just to help relax and calm the body. So definitely, my overall favorite strain, period, Sunset Sherbet, but I love uh OG, the OG Kushes too, San Fernando Valley OG. I love that one too. But my favorite terpene is caryophyllene, beta caryophyllene. So definitely find that it's pretty common like myrcene, but I find a lot of indicas definitely have it in there. What about you, bro? Uh,
I'm definitely a flower type. I do like vapes every now and again just because they're so easy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's easy
discreet for sure.
super discreet. And so I like that. I've gotten more into different forms, really thanks to Broderick, you know what I mean, really educating me, and obviously working in the industry, I've been able to learn a lot more, where I actually take risk in trying different things. I love the topicals, being that I deal with arthritis and pain. So topicals definitely help, fingers, ankles, lower back, hips, knees. So being able to put a topical on that also kind of gets that immediate relief. And also, all the topicals everything doesn't have THC in it. So a lot of times, a lot of people just assume just because somebody's consuming cannabis, there you go to Roach. Shout out to
Oh,
Roach.
is that a roach on my screen, bro?
You got a roach on the screen.
Yeah.
We from the hood, man. You know, we ain't afraid of the roaches, man.
Is that a roach? Nah. I didn't mean to interrupt your
Oh,
flow.
you
My
good. I
bad.
love it. I love it. But nah, that's, at the end of the day, the topicals and everything doesn't have THC in it. And so we have, there's been so much propaganda and so much noise that has been spewed out there for the last 5, 6 decades about cannabis. And most people don't like it because, oh, the smell, right? It stinks. And so not everybody is going to smoke it, right? So not everybody's going to have that smell. It doesn't mean they're not high. It doesn't mean they're not consuming cannabis. And so you can't really do a one brush stroke over the cannabis industry and just, cancel people out for being cannabis consumers. And a lot of people are discreet about their cannabis consumption as well. And that's why it's good to have, other forms, because this is a healthcare industry, right? So at the end of the day, you do have HIPAA. So not everybody wants people to know that they're using a particular type of medicine. Not everybody wants to know or wants to divulge that they're dealing with some type of pain. And that's one thing that I've noticed as being a former athlete is we're used to not telling people we're in pain, because when you tell somebody you're in pain, that's an opportunity for them to kind of take advantage of you as an athlete, right? If I see somebody hurt, like I'm going to take advantage of him, and we kind of use that in society.
Yeah, like a
So
weakness.
right. And so, we see people, if, people get counted out if they have a disability or have a weakness or have something. And that's something that the cannabis industry, I think, can help get rid of. But we need to share our
Story.
stories. We need to share, our perspectives, because just like we're able to do things, it doesn't mean we don't deal with pain. And we need to be the ones that help other people come out of the closet and be able to live freely, you know what I mean? Be able to express themselves and say, hey, yeah, I use cannabis for this reason or that reason. And I'm not a bad person. I'm not, a slouch. I can get my work done. I could go exercise. I can be a citizen in society, where I can really be, a help. Because for me, if I'm not feeling well, it's hard for me to be an active member of society, right? It's hard for me to get out and be active. And so that's another thing about the cannabis industry, and why we started this platform, was to really open it up and share that there's so many opportunities here, to have the discussion, and to just move the industry forward, especially here in the Midwest, especially here in Ohio, especially as African American men, because we know most of us have been locked up. We know we don't see a lot of us in the industry. Broderick goes to a lot of different places. I've been in a lot of different spaces, and a lot of times when you're an executive or you're somebody, you don't see yourself going to the dispensary. Also, the dispensary bud is expensive, right? So the cost. So you still have an illicit market or a legacy market, because people are subsidizing their cannabis because the program is so expensive. Just getting a license, right? Some places are charging $200. I know the prices have varied, but just even getting involved in the industry is very expensive, whether you're a patient or even trying to start a business. So it's important that we really, raise awareness and use our voices, like Broderick said, because without us doing that in a political way, and then on a way of putting it out there in the interwebs, the Internet of Things, things kind of just stay stagnant. So um, it's important that we just use our voices and talk. So I'll say my favorite strand, I definitely like the OGs. I'm definitely an OG. And I used to say sativa. I used to be heavy sativa dominant. But now I've moved more towards the indica dominant, because I've realized that's really helped balance me out. It helps me with my anxiety, and it helps me just to mellow out. So again, I'm a bud person too. So I like the flower. I like being able to touch the flower. I like to be able to break it down, smell the terpenes, and really just get my hands on it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yo, if I had to choose a sativa, it'd definitely be Durban Poison. We can't call it that truly here in Ohio, but Durban. No, but anyways, that's definitely the true sativa I would rock with. But I also love Purple Diesel and Kimoji, but those are some fire strains too, man. Terpy, citrusy, limonene, pinene, just uplifting, make you happy, be about your day, get shit done. But hey,
Thing
that's
about cannabis too, it uplifts you, you know what I mean? Like there's different, right? You can take an indica that's gonna put you to sleep, right? So some people have trouble going to sleep. And so
that's a lot of people, honestly. That's the number one factor for people. And I mean, let's be real, to get to or that's using cannabis, pain and sleep. In
right.
my
Yeah, yeah. And exactly, trauma, PTSD, you have veterans that, struggle sleeping. You have, athletes, you have just any and everybody that, people, women that have birth babies that may have complications. And so everybody deals with some form of pain, and so you have people taking over-the-counter medicine, whether it's Tylenol, ibuprofen. If we wanted to, we can go buy a couple bottles of that right now. People can overdose on it. You got opioids being pumped out into the system. And so cannabis doesn't, I've never met anybody that overdosed on cannabis. I've never met anybody that has like bugged out off of, just pure cannabis. So a lot of the things that have been talked about with cannabis usage is really just not true.
Not to like negatively say anything about your statement about anyone bugging out about on cannabis, because if in my opinion, if it has happened, then I think two things is either they were given the wrong necessary strain with their endocannabinoid, the way it works, but also they might have been given too much for their tolerance level, and that all stems from lack of education and like the part of the legacy market where you don't know exactly what you might be getting unless you're getting it directly from the grower or source. So uh like the only reason why I say that is because I've got a couple friends that mention, oh, I had one bad experience and I've never used it again. It's like, well, sadly, because of the lack of proper preparation or proper preparation for doing it, then it scarred you for life, and you're like missing out on something that could potentially help you in so many other ways. You know,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
it's helped people in like a lot of numerous health ways, in like beneficial ways, to where they're like, yo, I'm seeing so many positive changes to my health, like that. Is like, yo, it's got to be the cannabis.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, again, education, 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 education. Obviously, you can't overdo it, right, with anything, and so it's essential that you learn, what's right for you. Learn how to microdose. Learn how, hey, I may only need a piece of an edible. I may only need, just one hit of my vape cartridge just to get you going, get you through your day. And so that's one of the things too that we see that a lot of people don't like is they just feel like people overdo it. Obviously, we come from a culture where we're used to rap music, hip hop. You see the videos where you see a lot of weed and you see a lot of blunts being rolled up. And so everybody, there can be a sense of, what is the word? Sensation, kind
Mm-hmm.
of just putting it up where, people are overusing.
Right.
And so that's something that, again, we just have to understand that there is balance, there is ways that you can use without over consuming. And so, again, if you've never used before, it's good to start with a low dosage to see what really works for you. Me and Broderick, we've been consuming for a while. I know I've been consuming for well over like 15 years now. And I'm still learning, you know what I mean? I started as a teenager when it was an illegal substance, when everybody said, oh, you shouldn't be smoking weed. Weed will ruin your career, especially as an athlete. We've seen
Right.
tons of athletes have to end their career early or whether they got kicked out of their league for consuming. And then
Uh,
people, people like Stephen A, stay off the weed, man. So,
but
but
the
now it's
thing
a
is,
billion-dollar industry.
sadly, and no disrespect to Stephen A. In some ways, like mad props to him, hardworking man, but he don't understand either. From an athlete's perspective, like, hey, I mean, not like, I mean, he may have been a former athlete, but as far as healing and recovery, is a lot more safer, better ways for you than just relying on the opioids. And I myself, I have sickle cell. My sister has it too, and I can tell just from experience, like, if you don't, if it's a mind over matter, or definitely a mind over matter thing, but it's not easy, and they can quickly get you uh addicted in their system, because it's like it's just a money grab in a lot of ways, where they'll get you started on these pain pills. They won't tell you how to stop, and they'll quickly give them out, especially if there's high levels of pain. And then sadly, cannabis could truthfully get people off of stuff like that and provide a better quality of life for people. But it's sadly just kind of, a lot of people just turn their other cheek to it. And then, as Gerald mentioned too, like, I even having sickle cell, like a lot of people all my life, oh, you stay away from smoking, blah blah blah, all that, which is true, yeah, especially tobacco and cigarette smoke. But cannabis is, and I'm saying like any kind of smoke, I'm not saying it's great for you, but cannabis smoke has definitely been way more beneficial for me than uh the opioids has ever been. And I've been able to, you know, uh be opioid free and hospital, remain not being hospitalized for well over a year, just from my habit, or not habitual, but like consistent, and but yet consistent, but yet um proactive cannabis use. Like it hasn't stopped me from being able to be successful or get things done or accomplish things. So like I tell you, that's why I express it's a mental thing for certain. Like it's definitely mind over matter in a lot of ways. You can control the substance, or it's not even a substance. You can control the plant and not let the plant control you. It's your medicine, and that's with anything.
Yeah, and I mean, right, the whole purpose of cannabis is that it actually, when it's consumed, it goes into the body, goes into the bloodstream, and actually, tries to heal the body. Where typically an opioid is blocking receptors, right? Like it's not necessarily introduced to the body to actually heal it. It's introduced to kind of, block senses and sensory. So when you look at what cannabis is really doing, we all have an endocannabinoid system. And I think, we have to always hammer that home because these are terms that aren't normal to us. And so like when we bring up terpenes, when we bring up the endocannabinoid system, these are terms that a lot
Even
of
though
doctors aren't even taught about, right? Like I was on a call with a group of doctors about a month or two ago, and here I am. I don't have a doctorate degree. Like I didn't go to medical school, and these doctors are listening to me share my story and talk about cannabis and how it's beneficial to me. And most of our doctors spend 7+ years in school, and they aren't even taught that every human being, when you're born, has an endocannabinoid system, which is for the receptors of cannabis. And so it just shows how far we have to go, but also, the amount of ignorance that's in our society and in higher education and in our healthcare system, and the reality of how they're trying to keep this stuff quiet, so they can push opioids and even alcohol, because the studies have shown that when cannabis consumption increases, alcohol consumption decreases, opioid consumption decreases. People get healthier, so people stop eating, certain foods because things don't taste as well, so or their food tastes better. You have it so that people that are dealing with maybe cancer and may not have an appetite can now eat and enjoy it. And so there's just so many things that cannabis benefits. And so that's why we really started this platform. And I think it's essential too that we have people that, if you want to be on our platform, we would love to have people reach out to us. If you are checking this out on, YouTube, please leave us comments, leave us your favorite strands, leave us, whether you like indica, sativa, hybrid, whether you like flower. If you're in the Ohio program, what do you like about the program? What don't you like about the program? What can be better?
shoot, leave what you want us to report. Leave some news articles, whatever.
Yeah. If you want us to cover some stuff,
Yeah,
if you have topics, if you want to be a co-host for an episode, we are
correct.
we are open. Again, this is for the community. This is not just for me and Broderick doing it for our health. We really want to do it to better the community and to better the overall impact of cannabis as a whole.
This is just to take initiative and take charge in the sense of hopefully we can inspire multiple other patients to do
Power.
the same.
Yeah, we got to motivate, empower each other. We're all going through different things, especially in life. But one thing that makes, going through life experiences a little bit easier is having a community, right? Having people there, not one to hold you accountable, but also just be there with you in communion, be there with you in fellowship, and being able to enjoy, the same medicine.
Yeah.
So I think it's essential that we continue to build this program, and we just share our knowledge. So
And speaking on essential, I think it's essential that we get respected as essential workers, and uh, essential as a respected industry, and a real like respected medical industry. and it's about time that, you know, the workers get paid properly, the everyone, the owners, there's fair ownership opportunities, and, you know, even the owners now, they have to, you know, they fairly get a chance to have their rights as well. But hopefully there's more you know, social justice and equity opportunities too, and for those who the misrepresented and you know, the wrongfully harassed communities for sure. But and
Before we wrap it up, there was a big merger that happened this week, as we can't forget about. What are your thoughts on the big merger with what, Cresco
and Columbia Care?
Columbia Care?
Man, they just keep on trying to, you know, make this a corporation big weed thing. You know, I don't know. It's, in my opinion, I feel like they're continuing to trying to eliminate opportunities for the mom and pop people, or those, you know, people like you and I that are out, you know, still on the forefront or foregrounds trying to get that opportunity and climb up into that ownership. In my opinion, I don't. That's, what are they going to do with equity or for you know, those communities I just mentioned? Like I don't.
And so this platform too is the whole, you know, these MSOs, multi-state operators accountable, you know, so I think, you know, obviously we aren't in multiple states, but being that we have a digital platform, we have a reach that this can reach it globally. And so again, we have to keep these corporations accountable and say, how are you using your money? How are you using your power, your position, to provide equity, to provide social justice, to provide leadership in the way of, hey, we have people that have been locked up for years behind cannabis consumption or cannabis distribution, and they won't be able to get into the legal industry because they may have a felony on their record. They may not have the liquid capital, right, to start up a dispensary or to start a cannabis industry or a cannabis business. And so it's really up to these corporations to, you know, to be leaders, and to, you know, because we know corporations and their leaders go and lobby, whether it's in Congress in Washington, D.C., or whether it's at the state level. And so, you know, a lot of times these companies put a lot of money behind lobbyists and people to ensure that they get their rightful position in the industry. But as people that are coming from the underground, it's up to us to hold them accountable.
And that's very true. I got a buddy, my brother, one of my other brothers, Josh, you know, shout out, you know, Pothead Genius, him and his sister Ashley. He informed me, you know, there's a program actually called URC Grows, that, you know, United Returning Citizens, and they're actually creating a program where it's an education, workforce, and business development training program for the, you know, the next generation of workers. But the program basically, you know, it's a certificate program, certification program that once you complete it, you can get it in multiple areas, such as the agricultural area, industrial hemp, the CBD, and then there's actual marijuana program that you know, will teach them how to grow medical cannabis, but also explain to them how, like, the program, Ohio's program, is so heavily regulated that they want to, you know, make sure that the students are, you know, able to be certified, but also prepared for the recreational area. There's also, you know, the Cleveland School of Cannabis too, but the cool, you know, shout out to them as well. They're doing great things. The cool thing about this URC Grows thing is that a lot of it, they have a social justice fund where they're focused on helping those people with felonies or records with cannabis, getting it cleared off, and like by them completing this certification, I believe they're able to potentially gain, you know, obviously more knowledge, but access to get back, or potentially get, you know, access to in the industry, and get some of their records and stuff cleared off. But I may have like butchered the explanation a little bit. He was telling me a little bit better when I was in person with him, but I just kind of wanted to bring that up because we need more organizations like that. We just talked about this big merge happening, but what are they doing to like teach or help those communities that were suffering, or those people in those communities? Like, I would have so much respect if they were actually building workforce development, opportunities for people based around cannabis. And it doesn't have to just be that. It could be technology or other just powerful industries that's about to have a future in the workforce area. And that would be a way to give back versus just always trying to pick one person of color or a family person of color and try to use them or put them in public's eye. And that's that. Like, oh, we're helping, those colored communities. That's not enough, man. We need more than that. We need reparations. We need actual real communication and opportunities to be provided that way.
Sure. Yeah, and so we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. So where can we find you on the interwebs, Broderick? You out there?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. Find me on IG too, but you probably just search my name, Broderick. I'll be out there, be around, willing to always connect and spread my my knowledge or any connections I may have to try to help anybody passionate and looking to get in an industry or create their own company or something. But what about yourself, bro? Where can they find you?
I'm on the gram. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. So you can reach out, Gerald Moore Jr., either platform. I have my own cannabis brand, Athletes in Cannabis. And then we're also going to have the Ohio Cannabis Report page that we're going to put up. So we're definitely around. If you see this video, want to reach out to either of us. If you want to interview us, you want to hop on the podcast, reach out.
Definitely go check out Courage and Cannabis. I got a book near me.
Broderick's an author.
I like author better. You're an author. Well, I ain't no rat though, but that commercial, or it's a commercial, the TV show, the author. That like I myself would say that it come out that way, but so yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely published author, but shout out to Dr. Bridget and all the other courageous cannabis authors. But definitely looking forward to talking to everybody else and working with y'all soon. And we out. Community peace.
Tuning in.
Peace.